elite skills.
Just go get the quarterback. I felt sorry for some of those poor tackles that came in and had to go against him because they didn't realize what they were getting themselves into.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun. Son, I gotta do better than this.
Lights out.
Sacking the cornerback is just like you devastate a city, or you cream a multitude of people. I mean, it's just like you put all the offensive players in one bag, and I just take a baseball bat and beat on the bag. So each time he came over there, I tried to tear his damn head off.
Let's play some football. Let's play some football.
The pressure is on. This is Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
Focus on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Think about that. Don't think about how you feel, how tired you are, how hot it is. You got to push yourself on the field like when you're playing football.
It's my honor to present the National Championship Trophy to Coach Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
To me, this is the ultimate team. All these guys bought into everything they needed to do to be the best players that they could be. There's more togetherness on this team than almost any team that we've ever had. And they had to overcome and persevere so much adversity through this season, and they've done it magnificently. And I'm so proud of this group for what they've been able to accomplish and going undefeated and winning the national championship.
Streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the Tide 100.9 app. Here is your host of Off the Edge, Jacob Harrison.
Your man overthrown. Spit out the ball.
Hello there. Good morning. Welcome into Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. I am Jacob Harrison. Joe Gaither, Mason Woods hanging out in the production studio, pressing the right buttons. It's a great day to talk about football, and we'll do that right here for the next hour. Take you through your lunch hour. Show, as always, streams live on the Tide 100.9 app. Your best friend as a Crimson Tide fan, available on Apple and Android devices. We're also there on Tide109.com, and with both services you can enjoy all of our live and local content from 6 until 6, 7 to 8, depending on the day of the week. And you can also enjoy all of our written content, the latest news, the latest analysis, the latest opinions on all things Alabama Crimson Tide, from recruiting to the guys on the roster to the guys in the pros. We got you covered on all bases. And speaking of bases, Field of Dreams last night. I guess that was pretty cool. There's something broken inside of me, though, because instead I watched 2 NFL preseason games. You can direct your stones at 142 Skyland Boulevard. Just make sure none of them hit my car, and we'll be good. Also, the show streams live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Off the Edge 109. Likes, shares, subscribes, all those sorts of things. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Great way to stay up to date on all things going on with the show, as well as get notified when the show does go live every single weekday at 11 a.m. I'll also tell you about Alabama Vintage, 2210 University Boulevard, under the Crimson awning, across from City Hall in the heart of downtown T-Town. I'll be heading over there today to pick up a vintage. Ooh, it's nice. It's stitched Lynn Swan jersey. Oh, it is nice. That thing is going straight on the wall, man. I don't know that I'll ever wear it, but it's beautiful, and I'm going to go get one. But listen, there are all sorts of incredible jerseys, Hall of Famers, Alabama Crimson Tide. You can find the guys that have been in the pros, find their jerseys. There's a lot of Sean Alexander jerseys in there as well. But as well, Alabama Crimson Tide apparel of all kinds, commemorative t-shirts, jerseys, like I mentioned, sweaters, starter jackets, the incredible hat wall that ranges in style, whether it's fitted, whether it's snapback, or you got the strap, whatever you need, man. Charlie's got you covered from head to toe with your looks. Great growing selection of shoes as well, and the memorabilia that can line your home. At Alabama VTG on the Instagram account. Check out the brand ambassadors for 15% off your order at alabamavtg.com. So last night I said there's something broken within me. I watched both NFL preseason games last night. Of course I'm going to watch my Steelers. Of course. My wife, will come and talk to me, and she'll stand in front of the screen, and I'll kind of have to okay, to the side, and she'll give me that look, and I'm like, Najee Harris has got the ball, babe. I can't, I'm listening to you, I promise, but Najee Harris has the football, and look, Najee played well last night, didn't take nearly as many snaps, which I thought was fine. Isaiah Buggs was still doing his thing. J.C. Hassenauer still did his thing. I was very impressed with Jalen Hurts as well. Receivers let him down there on that first drive. Jalen Reagor still can't catch. And Zach Ertz caught an easy one over the middle too that could have prolonged the drive. But Jalen Hurts looked really, really good. And we'll touch on his game a little bit later in the show after we talk with AJ Spurr of Roll Tide Wire at 11:15. What I want to get into right off the bat, though, is Mack Jones, who debuted last night for the New England Patriots, took snaps after Cam Newton, threw 19 passes, 13 of 19 for 87 yards. Yes, a lot of short passes. And yes, we know the New England Patriots have one of the worst receiving cores in football, period. Right? There's no getting around that. It should be 14 of 19, depending on the circumstances, I guess, because his first pass, it was completed. Bill Belichick wasn't very interested in the ball game, wasn't willing to use the challenges, I guess. He doesn't need practice at that. He's been doing this for 20, 25 years, right? Regardless, though, it is such a pain. It is such a pain. It's really a trial to be a fan of these Alabama players when they get in the NFL, because they're doubted so heavily. They're expected day one to put up the same numbers they put at Alabama. And it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. The jokes were rampant. The memes were rampant. A 35-yard pass deep down the left sideline. Yes, it was on the left hash, so we don't have to talk about the arm strength. But that ball was placed perfectly. Perfectly. Defensive back had absolutely zero shot. He didn't break up the ball. The wide receiver on the other end, Lord help his soul, because ain't nobody going to remember that guy's name, didn't catch the ball. Just dropped it. Didn't make a good play on it. Didn't adjust his body well. And that's a second or third string wide receiver, right? And that sort of thing happens in the preseason. It's the preseason. It's time to get better. It's time to screw up. If you're going to screw up, now's the time. Matt Jones didn't do a lot of screwing up last night, though. He had to eat a few sacks. But overall, man, he looked exactly the same as he did at Alabama. His receivers just didn't help him out. And that's the benefit of playing at Alabama. You're going to look good because the other 10 guys out there with you look great too. And it's the benefit, right? When you get to the NFL, though, and when you go to a bad team, and when you're a quarterback that's a high draft pick, you're going to go to a bad team. Make no mistakes. The New England Patriots are not your daddy's or your older brother's New England Patriots, right? They're not good. They're not. They've got good defensive pieces. They got a good offensive line. Those running backs look really good. But the wide receivers are terrible. And Cam Newton's not great. He didn't look super good last night either. That being said, Cam Newton's going to be the starter week one. Whether or not that pans out for longer than 5 weeks, not many think it will, including me. I want Cam Newton to be a good football player because football is better when Cam Newton is good because he is an incredible athlete. 6'5", 250 pounds, doing the things that he does. He's always been an above average thrower of the football. But when he's on, man, he is one of the best to do it. And I know that's blasphemous here in Tuscaloosa, but it's reality. It's the truth. Doesn't matter that he went to school across the state. Cam Newton can be good. But it's the same attitude that Alabama fans do have to put up with these Alabama quarterbacks once they get in the NFL. If you thought the hate for Tua Tagovailoa last year was misguided, misplaced, and overused, you haven't seen anything yet on Mack Jones. Because it's coming tenfold. Because not only Does every draft expert under the sun hate this guy because he doesn't have arm strength, because his offense was easier to run, because it put players in the best position to succeed? That's a wild concept, isn't it? But because of those things, mired with the fact that he plays for the New England Patriots and his game comparison is to Tom Brady, the way that he plays the game, not the expectations of which, no one can succeed. No one's winning 6 Super Bowls. Nobody's doing what Tom Brady's done, right? Like, we look at that the same way as Nick Saban. Like, that's not repeatable. Nobody's doing that. But the way that he plays the game is similar, right? He's a pocket quarterback. He knows how to manage the pocket. Doesn't have the best arm in the world, but he's accurate and he's smart with the football, and he's willing to dump it down if that's what's best for the offense, right? What a concept, right? That being a game manager does not make you a bad quarterback. Tom Brady's the greatest game manager of all time. Find an argument. You're not going to find one. So all of those things wrapped in with the fact that he is the latest, greatest thing from Alabama. All the negative marks are on him. You look at all 3 of the starting quarterbacks from Alabama in the NFL. They've all got, the national experts all focus on the negative aspects of their game more than anything else. And I understand that. When you're analyzing guys, the first thing you're probably going to bring up are the negatives, or the things that are going to stand out the most blatantly are the negatives. And that's understandable, right? But you still have to take the positives, right? Jalen Hurts has improved every single year as a quarterback, and he looked really accurate last night. His receivers let him down. He didn't scramble. He didn't panic in the pocket because the Steelers' pass rush is for real, and it got after him early. And he was still able to manage the pocket and get the ball out to his receivers, which is a huge, huge step for him. With Tua Tagovailoa, there was no sympathy given to the fact that this dude had his leg bone go through his hip. There was no sympathy for the fact that the dude had no offseason, had no offensive line, had no running backs, had no wide receivers. But now that he does, now the pressure is on, and he's got to be a top 15 quarterback this year, or it's all she wrote, right? From some of these national analysts, right? It's going to be the same thing with Mack Jones. Because no sooner than that touchdown pass was incomplete did I see one of the smartest up-and-coming draft analysts I know. Well, I respect the hell out of him. But he hates Mack Jones. And that's his prerogative. Everybody's got their opinion. But no sooner than that pass was incomplete did I have to read a tweet about his inability, Mack Jones that is, to complete a pass deep down the sideline. Because the ball was perfect. What more do you want from the guy? He's got the goods, man. And if it boggles the mind that for the past 21 years, Tom Brady's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, despite not having the talent of an Aaron Rodgers, despite not having the talent today of guys like Patrick Mahomes, despite not having the talent of guys like Peyton Manning, because he didn't have the arm strength, and he had to gain the accuracy, right? All of those things for Tom Brady came in time. And the reason that he gets all the hate is because he's so great. So just expect all of the hate to come towards Mack Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Hurts all the same. Because they're working towards being great. And they're doing great things. We'll break it down next with AJ Spurr, the site expert of Roll Tide Wire. Congrats on the promotion. Couldn't happen to a better guy. We'll talk to AJ Spurr next here on Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code BLUE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code BLUE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BLUE.
Attention business business owners, if your biggest question is, how can I find more customers? Then Town Square can help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you how the most successful businesses grow and how you can do it too. These strategies are simple and we can show you how to apply them to your business. Be one of the first businesses to sign up and you'll receive $500 in free advertising on this radio station. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Touchdown! Alabama wins! The Alabama football countdown clock is driven by Crawford Insurance, Tuscaloosa's low-cost auto insurer. Call 752-6489 for a free quote today.
Roll Tide! Roll Tide!
There are 22 days until Alabama football.
BMW of Tuscaloosa welcomes the latest wave of students back to town. We love cheering on the home team, and we're excited for the first kickoff later this month. You know what else we're excited for? The starting lineup of new 2021 BMW vehicles and all-star pre-owned BMWs we've recently drafted. For all the recent grads out there, BMW wants you to make your mark in style. Recent college grads can get $1,000 off a new BMW through the BMW College Grad Program. Stop in or visit bmwoftuscaloosa.com today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partially sunny with scattered showers and thunderstorms around through the evening hours. The high today 92, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow, a mixture of cloud and sunshine with scattered showers and thunderstorms again. The high tomorrow very close to 90. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 83 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
We are back here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. I'm Jacob Harrison. About to go out to the hotline, 205-342-9904. Welcome in AJ Spurr. He is the newly dubbed site editor for USA Today Sports Roll Tide Wire, covering Alabama football. He's also the director of football operation for Tribe Sports Agency. AJ, man, what's going on? Welcome into the show.
First time hearing the site editor, and let me tell you, it's got a nice ring to it. Thank you.
No doubt about it, man. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm proud for you. Preseason football kicks off.
Thank you.
And I've been saying it all morning. You know, there's something broken within me. I didn't watch the Field of Dreams thing, so you're not going to get anything about that out of me. I'm all about preseason football, baby. Mack Jones, though, does make his debut last night. Has a solid game by my account. 13-19, 87 yards. Didn't get a lot of help from his receivers, but he looked accurate, looked good. What was your assessment of the debut of the Mack Jones, his first appearance with the New England Patriots?
I think the best way I could put it, Jacob, as a lifelong Dolphins fan, is I'm scared. I'm a little worried about what Mack's going to do up in Foxborough. I mean, I tweeted it out earlier today. Who let Mack Jones fall into the lap of Bill Belichick? People were making memes about this for months leading up into the draft when the Niners at number 3, are they going to take Mack or Lance? Well, if they don't take Mack, he's going to go to the Patriots. And here we are. Okay. He looked great. The fans love him. And now the AFC East is going to have to worry about Mack Jones on top of, the legendary Tua Tagovailoa and some of these other guys like Josh Allen and Zach Wilson.
I mean, I know it's still early, but we still, we're in this reality where, the draft experts like who they like, and they like what they see out of guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, the guys that can make it work outside of the pocket, the guys with incredible arm strength. But Mack Jones gets it done in a different way. He manages the pocket. He has accuracy. He understands the offense. He's willing to take what the defense gives him. And it sounds like the other guy that's been running the Patriots for the past 21 years. And it sounds like it would make for a good pairing to go back with Bill Belichick. Do you I know it's one game, so I'm not looking for an overreaction, but do you think the way that Mack Jones plays the game of football can translate in today's NFL?
100%. And Jacob, you mentioned it's one game, but we learned a lot in this one game. I mean, he looked better than how he looked at Alabama. Okay, he played a very tough Washington defense. Okay, Chase Young got in the face of Cam Newton about 1 million times, it felt like, despite him only playing 3 series. The fans loved him, which I think is important. The number 10 looks amazing on him, and he looked like a veteran. All right, I know you hinted at Tom. He almost looked like Tom Brady with a stronger, more accurate deep ball. Okay, he had that one that would have been a touchdown. It hit the wide receiver right in the hands. I think it was Wilkerson. Okay, hit him right in the hands and dropped it. If that would have been caught, that would have been all over ESPN, all over every media outlet, as if Patrick Mahomes threw a no-look pass. All right, but no, I don't think it's an overreaction to think Mack Jones at this point is legit for the Patriots. I mean, I don't know if you've been following what's been going on in the training camp with him, but he's been lighting it up, and not only is he doing well, but Cam Newton's not even playing that well. So it's like you have 1+ with Mack Jones doing well, and then you have an underperforming Cam Newton, which is a minus. I was, hesitant to say this earlier on in this season, but a Mack Jones versus Tua Tagovailoa matchup week 1 in Foxborough, I think is in the question.
That's a statement right there.
It's a statement, but I mean, come on. I don't think it's too far off. There have been, Patriots reporters now, claiming it's probably a much closer race for QB1 to start the season than anyone thought. Because Cam Newton, like I just said, he's not, don't get me wrong, he's still NFL caliber, but he's not the Cam Newton of, the Carolina Panther days. He's not former NFL MVP Cam Newton anymore. He's just, Cam Newton on a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots as a tryout to show the league he's still, able to play. Mack Jones came in, he's hungry, and he's exactly what Bill Belichick wants and is used to. So, that's a take. I've had some crazy takes on here, Jake, and I appreciate you repeatedly bringing me back on here and giving me a platform to spew those takes. But this is one I actually think, has a viable chance of coming to fruition.
That's Bill Belichick did say that Cam Newton is the starter, but like you said, I mean, it really has been a pretty tight race between the two in camp. I've said that Cam will probably start the season and Mack will take over quickly, but I mean, if you want to get this Mack Jones Tua Tagovailoa rivalry getting off to a hot start week 1, 2021, I'm all here for it, man. That sounds exciting. That being said, all things being equal, if Chase Young is barreling down on Mack Jones, it's going to be the same result as what Cam Newton had last night too.
That's true. If anything, it might be worse because, we all know Cam Newton probably has, more experience leaving the pocket than Mack does. So he's also used to that Bama offensive line, which I think can be taken advantage of.
Yeah,
while he's down here.
That was another thing we saw was, Alabama fans noting the fact that Mack Jones goes to the NFL, and lo and behold, the talent pool actually got a little bit worse up in New England. And I saw the best meme about it is just zooming in on Tua Tagovailoa's face, because the exact same thing happened to him. It's painful for these Alabama guys, man. But a guy that did look good last night, I don't know if you got a chance to see him on that first drive, but against my Pittsburgh Steelers, man, even with the pressure really coming in his face, Jalen Hurts looked calm. He looked accurate. He managed the pocket, didn't escape or panic or anything like that. Hurts is a guy that's not in a great situation with the Eagles. They don't look like they're going to be very good, but he's not going to roll over and die.
No, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to, make many headlines this upcoming season, especially early on in the season. I mean, even now there's still, rumors and speculation that the front office isn't even comfortable with him being their starting quarterback, like rumors of them looking to the 2022 NFL draft to maybe get a quarterback first round. I didn't get to watch the game. I did see highlights. He looked good in that first drive. Tons of drops. We didn't get to see Devontae Smith, but there is no one, I liked Rieger last season. Besides him and Devontae, Zach Ertz is reportedly on the trading block. I don't know who Philadelphia is going to give Jalen Hurts besides Devontae Smith, in order to give him a legitimate shot at proving what he can do as a quarterback. Because if you don't give him any tools, you can't expect him to be a miracle worker.
No, you're dead on there. But I will say, because the game was on the Eagles broadcast, boy, they love Devontae Smith. They cannot wait to see what he's got going. They ran about 4 or 5 highlight packages of that guy last night. Very excited for him.
I'm excited to see him, but I was also very happy to see Joe Flacco got the spotlight last night.
No, I'm not too crazy about that one. I didn't need Joe Flacco getting another 80-yard touchdown against my Steelers. Hey, he got eaten up for a big sack too, though, so it all balanced out.
I can just imagine you screaming at your screen for that one.
Oh, it was painful. It was painful. Of course, it was a little dump off screen too, so Flacco gets to look good off of 10% effort. Looking out west, a guy that has popped up in highlights time and time again, didn't have the season he wanted to last year as a first-round wide receiver. A lot of that boils down to the quarterback, but he did have problems with drops. But the route running highlights that he is putting on against these Minnesota Vikings in joint practices ahead of their preseason game, Jerry Jeudy looks like he has figured it out, or at least, I mean, I know it's practices, I know it's training camp, but he looks like he is on the verge of figuring out what it means to be a number one wide receiver in the NFL. What do you think about Jerry Jeudy in year 2?
I think if you want to help Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Hurts out, you trade Jerry Jeudy over to the Eagles and have Smith, Jeudy, and Hurts all together.
There you go.
I think you hit the nail. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Jerry Jeudy and Drew Lock is a combination that would never work. For most people, it's like saying putting pineapple on pizza. Okay, Jerry Jeudy. Listen, I'll eat it. I'm never just going to go out of my way to order it. As is what I'm trying to say. But with Jeudy, he's always been a star, whether it was him in high school here at Deerfield Beach, which is just north of where I'm at now in Miami, or at Bama when he won the Biletnikoff Award, or during the Combine, or in the NFL Draft. He's still the same Jerry Jeudy. It's not like we have a completely different guy out on the field. And same thing with Hurts. It's just the tools that he has around him. But there is a different sense of confidence from what I'm reading in reports and what I'm seeing in coverage of Broncos training camp. He seems to have, a veteran mentality despite only being in his sophomore season in the NFL. And I think that could go a long way, especially considering last year he really did have to step up, albeit the team wasn't too strong to begin with. But Cortland Sutton went down with that knee injury, and all of a sudden, boom, Jerry Jeudy, congrats, you're a rookie with Drew Lock as your quarterback, and now you kind of got to run this offense as the only, truly valued skill position player on the team. So I hope this season goes a little bit better, especially for Drew Lock. I hope Cortland Sutton can stay healthy, but more importantly, I hope Jerry Jeudy just goes out there and realizes, the pressure's kind of off of him at this point because it's not his, job to lose. It's not a matter of can Jerry Jeudy get the job done. It's can someone actually give Jerry Jeudy the opportunity to do what he does best, which is run these routes, catch the ball, and score.
No doubt about it. AJ, your Miami Dolphins, they take on the Chicago Bears tomorrow at noon. We've seen a lot of Tua with the deep ball. We saw Jalen Waddle mixing it up with Eddie Jackson. What should we expect tomorrow from Tua and Waddle and the rest of the Bama Pros that are on the Miami Dolphins? And keep in mind that noted Chicago Bears fan Joe Gaither is on the other side of the glass, very close to the phone lines.
Well, I hope Joe saw the video yesterday of fellow former Alabama football player Eddie Jackson getting burned by Jalen Waddle off the line, completely lost his footing, had his hips turned the wrong way. But no, Jalen Waddle is a problem, and Alabama fans have known that for a very long time. But now that there are videos coming out of training camp of Jalen Waddle making veteran NFL players look silly, all right, I think the rest of the league is being put on notice right now that Jalen Waddle, serious candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And as for Tua, improvement. That's all I want. I come on here, I feel like once every week or so, and I spew my Tua, propaganda. But I really do think, there's been a change in him. George Godsey, co-offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, during a recent press conference, went on like a 2.5-minute rant all about what Tua has done differently this year on and off the field as a leader on the field and in the locker room, and even in their social lives. He's been more of a leader. He's been better at communicating. In terms of training, he's better physically. He's in better shape. And in terms of just being more confident in his health, I mean, look, last year we were shocked to even see him play the game. You know, after that Mississippi State hip injury that required surgery, you know, there were even talks of him maybe never even playing football again. So just to have him out there was nice. It may have been a little bit early to see him play last season, especially starting 9 games. I didn't even want him to play at all last season. But there's a, you know, newfound confidence in Tua, in his hip, in his knee, in his ankle, all that heading into this season. And I think he knows that. I think he feels better now than he ever has. And especially with having Waddle there, it's kind of like a security blanket for him.
Talking to AJ Spurr, the site editor for USA Today Sports Roll Tide Wire, covering Alabama football, the director of football operations for Tribe Sports Agency as well. Let's talk some Alabama training camp, AJ. I think we've talked at length many times about the offense, so I want to get your thoughts on some defensive stars. And one that is really standing out, when I laid eyes on him, I saw just a smooth athlete. He looks really, really good. Looks like there's a lot of talk about his leadership skills. That, of course, being Henry Tohoto, the Tennessee transfer, who's set to start next to Christian Harris on the off-ball linebacker position. What do you make of Henry Tohoto and what he brings to this Alabama defense in 2021?
Well, first of all, I want to address your tweet from the other day that didn't get nearly as much love as I thought it should have. I don't even know how to describe it. Smooth.
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
I thought that was gold. I laughed so hard at that. But the video that it was accompanied with was one of the smoothest interceptions. I mean, no one even, blinked at it. It was like he just caught it with one hand, reeled it in, and everyone just kind of went about their business. I saw that, my jaw dropped. Okay, so Henry Tohoto, I'm excited to see what he's going to do this season. I know the rest of college football is excited, as well as NFL front offices and scouts, because he's quickly rising up draft boards. He was already on the radar while he was at Tennessee because he was a great player for the Volunteers. The only issue was he was playing in Knoxville. Now he's playing in the Crimson Tide, hasn't even taken a snap yet with a Crimson Tide uniform on, and his draft stock has risen exponentially. As far as what he's going to do on the field and in a leadership role, it's interesting because this is a first-year Alabama player, but he is a junior. He's got 2 years under his belt in the SEC nonetheless. So, it seems to me like the team has taken a strong liking to him. He's been able to come in here comfortably and work his magic, do what he does best as a linebacker. And, he's earned the role, and it's visible. I mean, you saw in that video, and I've seen other videos of him too. He looks bigger, he looks stronger, and he looks like he fits right in with this Alabama defense.
Looking on the defensive line, I've talked at length about how the depth on this defensive line is really stacked, and it helps Alabama in case of injury. And unfortunately, that's already been the case. LeBron Ray, yet again, down with a groin injury, should be back for the start of the season, according to several reports. But nonetheless, when you look across this defensive line, whether it's leadership guys like Fedarian Mathis or guys that push for playing time because of their disruptive nature, like Tim Smith, who are the guys on the defensive line that you look forward to stepping up in Ray's absence, as well as just throughout the season in that massive rotation on the defensive front?
For me, it's got to be Big Phil, Fedarian Mathis. He's waited his turn. He's paid his dues. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. And he's a leader on this team. He's older. He's a veteran, despite not having too much starting time on the defensive line. I really do think he brings an element of, I deserve to be here. I've earned this. He's played special teams a little bit, but this is his true first year as, the go-to guy on the defensive line. Along with that, some guy I've been really, really big on since his true freshman season, Alabama native out of Clay Chalkville, DJ Dale at nose tackle. He is someone that I thought was going to be a star his freshman season. He maybe didn't play too much. His stats weren't too good. He didn't look as good as he did, senior year of high school. I get it. Last year, I thought he was going to blossom. I thought DJ Dale is going to be a problem. Let me tell you this, Jacob. I was really big on Felipe Franks when he was at Florida. I was really big on Matt Corral in 2019. One of those hit. A lot of people are excited to see Matt Corral. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my DJ Dale prediction and say that this is going to be the year he blossoms. I was wrong about last year. My crystal ball was broken. I got it fixed. I got it repaired. It was pricey, but I did it. And DJ Dale this year, I think, is going to be a lot better. I think he's older. He's a junior now. He's got time under his belt, starting time under his belt. He's played in the big games, and now he's finally figured it out.
We'll keep an eye on those off-ball linebacker tackle numbers to get a gauge of what he's capable of. That nose tackle position, man, you got to be a versatile cat to make a difference in today's game. You can't do it like Terrence Cody did. You've got to reinvent the wheel a little bit here, play the position in a completely different manner. Last guy I want to talk about from the Alabama defense, Kool-Aid McKinstry, he won several high school honors, Defensive Player of the Year, National Player of the Year. Nick Saban and everybody that goes to practice, everybody that sees Kool-Aid is wildly impressed by this guy. That being said, he's still trailing Jalen Armour-Davis for that starting gig on the corner spot. Nick Saban didn't bring his name up at all as a return option, but we're all expecting to see Kool-Aid on the field in some form of fashion because his ball skills are too good. He's too good of an athlete, and he's an incredible corner to boot. What do you want to see out of Kool-Aid this year? How do you anticipate seeing him on the field? Kool-Aid McKinstry, ladies and gentlemen, the number one player in Alabama. He's got to make an impact in 2021, right?
Well, let me put it this way. I wish I could have seen him in a Crimson Tide basketball uniform as well, because remember, Nate Oates was actually recruiting him to play basketball for the Crimson Tide as well. Here's the thing, Jacob. It's weird because he's great. He's a star. I think he's going to flourish at Alabama. I don't think he's going to end up staying all 4 years. But we look at someone like Malachi Moore. Last year as a true freshman became a star. All right, he would still have him for 2 more seasons. Kool-Aid, if he earns the spot, if Saban and the defensive staff, Pete Golding, if they think he's earned that spot, then I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, this team historically has been about developing the younger players and not necessarily forcing them into a role that the public thinks they deserve to be in. And if Kool-Aid has what it takes, and during this preseason he's showing out, which I know he is, then put him in the spot. But if he's got to wait half a season or a full season, take a red shirt, whatever it may be, I know it's going to get done right. I'm excited to see Malachi Moore and Josh Jobe this season. Having Kool-Aid out there with him would just be the cherry on top.
No, I agree with that. Josh Jobe, a big name to watch, as well as Malachi Moore, man. What he brings to the field, I mean, you can't describe it. He gets compared a lot to Minkah Fitzpatrick. As a big Minkah Fitzpatrick guy, Malachi Moore is something different. He is his own guy. You're going to have to compare other players to Malachi down the road because he's that special. Talking to AJ Spurr, the site editor for USA Today Sports, Roll Tide Wire, covering Alabama football, the director of football operations for Tribe Sports Agency as well. Looking through some of your work here over the past few days, a rat poison article came across my feed, and talking about the Alabama schedule with, I heard Gary Harris say it the other day, and I tend to agree. This is a much more difficult schedule than maybe a lot of Alabama fans are anticipating. There's some big names on this schedule. And I think there's some surprise factors within the SEC portion of the schedule. The 4 cupcakes are what they are, but when you look at Miami and Florida and their placement in the schedule, Ole Miss and what we expect out of them, this can be a little bit challenging. LSU might be on the rise, who knows? But you pointed out in reference to somebody else's analysis that Ole Miss and Miami might be 2 overrated aspects of this schedule. Now, I'm really big on Ole Miss. I predicted they'd go 11-1. So I want to kind of hear your take on Ole Miss and your hometown team there, the Hurricanes, and what potential threats they bring to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I'll go ahead and I'll start with Ole Miss because I just mentioned how big I am on Matt Corral. And I think the offense for Ole Miss is going to be amazing this year. I'm excited to see Lane Kiffin, finally get a grip on this Rebels team and actually do something with it. And I think they're not only going to make some noise in the SEC, but across the nation as well. I think Ole Miss is starting to gear up toward getting back to that national relevancy status. The only thing that's going to be holding them back, and I have them third in the West behind Bama and Texas A&M, the defense. Ole Miss's defense last year was not great. Maybe they're a little bit better this season, but even a little bit better from last season is not good. So I really do think Nick Saban said it himself. The SEC in college football overall is evolving to a more offensive game. Because let's face it, if Nick Saban had it his way, the scores of these games would end up being like 6-3. So, it's an offensive game, and obviously Ole Miss has that offense. But is that offense going to be able to compete with the opposing team's offense if they keep putting numbers up? So that's my thing with Ole Miss. But I do want it on record. Matt Corral, great quarterback, great guy. I think he's going to have an amazing season. Now for at least down here, I learned recently people don't call Miami outside of Miami. People call Michigan That kind of blew my mind for a little bit because I grew up down here with just Michigan being Michigan and Miami being So talking about the Miami, I don't understand the hype behind this team. De'Aaron King, solid quarterback, great quarterback, not in my opinion. People are saying, oh, well, he's going to, rise up the first round of this 2022 NFL draft and we'll see what he's got. I feel like he's been in, college football game longer than Hunter Renfrow was. It feels like he spent 6 seasons at Houston and then the last 3 at Miami. Obviously, he's coming off that really bad ACL tear that he suffered in Miami's last game of the season in the bowl game. So there's even people that don't even know if he's going to be fully healthy for this game. Miami's defense, this is almost like the opposite of Ole Miss's problems. Miami's defense is solid despite them losing Jalen Phillips and Gregory Rousseau, who opted out last season anyway. But, they have a lot of young guys on defense. Their offense, their star wide receiver is a transfer out of Oklahoma, Charleston Rambo, who doesn't even have that much film from being at Oklahoma. De'Aaron King isn't fully healthy. Manny Diaz, I've said it for a while now, Manny Diaz isn't going to be the guy to bring the U back, but, he's taken steps in the right direction. To start this season, though, I think begins 0-1.
I would tend to agree with that last statement for sure. We'll see what De'Aaron King brings. I anticipate that he'll have a good game. I just don't know if the rest of the Hurricanes will be there with him. Final question for you. Yesterday at Auburn practice, first of all, props to Auburn media for being able to even be around long enough to see an 11-on-11 drill. But just before the 11-on-11 drill, Brian Harson, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, stops practice and gets a box of hats and starts handing them out to the media. Tom Ehrenberg, he's got to be flaming right now for the ethics problem that this has to be. Now, there's obviously there's Auburn fans that are in favor of this. I've seen journalists who are actually in favor of this as well. AJ Spurr, what is your opinion on Brian Harson handing out team memorabilia to the media?
Should he have done it? Probably not, but he did it. I think it was a little extra. I think that this kind of goes hand in hand with his SEC Media Days opening speech, which was interesting and unorthodox. But, he did it. It happened. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, these journalists, if they want to remain impartial and keep a good head on their shoulders, go ahead and just give the hat away. Find a kid, find a fan, sell it online. I don't care. I feel like I keep saying it shouldn't have happened, but it did. So figure it out. It doesn't need to be a apocalyptic scenario because some Auburn Tigers gear was given out to media members. It happened. People just want something to talk about at this point. I think we're so close to college football, we can taste it, but it's not here yet. So they need something to scream about.
I hear you on that one. Tell them what you got going on. Roll Tide Wire, Tribe Sports Agency, AJ.
Ooh, Roll Tide Wire, whole lot of content coming up here. We're just about getting to the season, so a whole lot of reasons as to why the Tide may win or lose a game or two this upcoming season, and just player profiles and detailing why this team is going to be better or worse. Don't want to give anything away than last year's team.
At Spurr FM on the Twitter account. AJ, it is always a pleasure, man. And thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Appreciate you, boss. You do the same.
Absolutely. AJ Spurr, Roll Tide Wire. We'll take a break, come back. More on Jalen Hurts. Some players from the Alabama Crimson Tide named to the Senior Bowl watch list for next year in Mobile, and a decommitment from the Alabama Crimson Tide 2022 recruiting class. That more off the edge. Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code BLUE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code BLUE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BLUE.
With protection for your motorcycle, boat, and RV, your Progressive policy works the way it's supposed to. Unlike this indecisive sports talk host.
All right, welcome to the Big Shark Show.
Hey, Big Shark, any predictions for the game tonight?
Well, if you ask me, they are definitely going to win big, but I also think there's a chance they don't win. It's just my gut that they will, or they won't. But I do have a hunch that whatever happens, we will definitely know when it does.
Wait, so...
Either way, they always seem to come up with a big play, or sometimes just a smaller one.
Switch to Progressive today.
Bottom line, they're going to win. Or lose.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
With Taco Casa, it's not really fast food because it's made fresh every day in the store. The quality hasn't changed. The consistency hasn't changed because we haven't changed anything in the food. It's made fresh every morning in every restaurant. I think buzzwords in today's food industry are locally sourced and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Risky behavior with alcohol can lead to future health problems without warning. High blood pressure, stroke, and cancer. Substance misuse is dangerous. Knowing the risk is vital.
Attention business owners, if your biggest question is, how can I find more customers? Then Town Square can help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you how the most successful businesses grow and how you can do it too. These strategies are simple and we can show you how to apply them to your business. Be one of the first businesses to sign up and you'll receive $500 in free advertising on this radio station. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up, there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Partially sunny with scattered showers and thunderstorms around through the evening hours. The high today 92, tonight's low 74. Tomorrow, a mixture of cloud and sunshine with scattered showers and thunderstorms again. The high tomorrow very close to 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 85 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow Off the Edge on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for live streams and instant analysis. Off the Edge with Jacob Harrison continues.
Welcome back into Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Want to give a quick little shout out. Nothing too crazy, nothing, unbiased as we get closer and closer to high school football in our coverage in that as well here at Tide 109. Coach Bivens and the Central High School Falcons over there, at my kids' elementary school helping open doors for the car riders. Hey, props. I appreciate that. Like those kind of things, like, because in the middle of the school year or the beginning and the end of the school year, nobody wants to open the doors because it's really, really hot. So they don't want to be out there. And like 5 and 6 year olds struggle to open doors. Like they're heavy. It's hard. So I greatly appreciate that. And just serving your community. That's big props. I appreciate that. I know a lot of parents did as well. Can't wait for high school football coverage. Can't wait to get out and see some of these guys. Saw where Justice Finkley is. He wants to commit soon. So hopefully we'll get to see him out towards this way this year as well. But speaking of recruiting, 4-star running back Le'Veon Moss has decommitted from the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can read all about it, Tide109.com. Says that I've decided that I want to reopen my recruitment. Says thanks to the Alabama fan base. He appreciates all the love and support, but to respect his decision, as all recruits who decommit do. So I don't know. We'll see in the future what this situation is going to be. Remember, Jeremiah Alexander opened his recruitment at one point as well. But Le'Veon Moss, he committed like just a few months ago. So that is an interesting aspect of it. We spent all day yesterday with Joe Gaither filling in for Ryan Fowler on the game, talking about this running back core. It's still young. Like when you get past Brian Robinson, that's 4 really young running backs that, are going to be able to carry the load. So that might be a part of it. Is playing time is going to be hard to come by for any running back that commits this year or next year to the Alabama Crimson Tide. That being said, there's a reason some guys stick around through that process anyway, because you come out of it on the other side a better player in many, many instances. I never tire of the Senior Bowl. Can't wait to go back again next year. February 5th is when we'll enjoy the game, but the weeks leading up to it are usually even better than the game itself. But so far, 7 Alabama Crimson Tide players added to the 2022 watch list for the Senior Showcase game in Mobile next year. Josh Jobe, LaBryan Ray, Fedarian Mathis, Daniel Wright, Chris Allen, Jalen Moody, and Brian Robinson. It'll be interesting to see if any other names, quite possibly pop up. Last year, though, this is the very interesting part, is that it's kind of flip-flopped. Last year, we had no defensive players for Alabama at the Senior Bowl. It was 4 offensive players. Well, technically it was 6, but Devontae Smith got there knowing full well he would not participate at all. But you had Najee, you had Mack Jones, you had Alex Leatherwood, you had Deontay Brown. And turned out by the time we got to the game, Deontay Brown was the only one to play alongside long snapper Thomas Fletcher. So be interesting to see which of these names show up in Mobile. I would say, y'all know me, Chris Allen's the guy that I want to see in that spot. I want to see this guy have double-digit sacks and use the Senior Bowl in a similar vein as to what Najee Harris did. Go out there and show what you're capable of. Work towards being a first-round pick. I think he's got that within himself.
Do you think Allen is getting double-digit sacks this year?
I think they're both getting double-digit sacks. I think Allen and Anderson are getting double-digit sacks. And the reason why, it's not just because of my man crush for Will Anderson. He's really that good. Like we're all aware of that, but it goes, everything encompasses within itself. The depth on the defensive line, even with LeBron Ray out, but you look at Fedarian Mathis and you look at DJ Dale, Tim Smith, Jamil Burrows, Byron Young. That's a lot of good defensive linemen. They're going to stay, they're going to stay fresh. They're going to stay, well hydrated. They're going to, they're going to keep their air, their breath. That interior defensive line plays such a big role in what those edge rushers are able to do, especially if they're like Tim Smith. They're able to cause pressure themselves up the middle. That can force a quarterback into a situation where they have no choice but to step in the direction of a Will Anderson or a Chris Allen. And those two make such a mighty pair, with Will Anderson being a freakish athlete who's good at everything, but Chris Allen brings strength and power and technicality to what he does as a pass rusher. It's very, very impressive. Got a lot of preseason games on tonight. I'm sure we'll get our eyes on some Alabama players as well. Tomorrow, though, is the one I'm excited for, to see Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle take on the Chicago Bears at noon Central on NFL Network. You don't want to miss that if you're an Alabama fan. There's some big names in there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be back with you tomorrow, as well as Mason Woods, alongside Bryant Horn and Kendall Hollowell for the Saturday Morning Showdown tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Up next is the Jay Barker Show. Drew DeArmond will sit in for the game with Ryan Fowler, tied tonight as well. Until then, everybody else, have a great weekend.